Hundreds of parents of different faiths in Maryland recently protested their school district's controversial LGBTQ curriculum. They want their children to be given the right to opt out. The demonstrators included parents of the Islamic, Christian, Jewish, and Hindu faiths, a pretty diverse group. And one of the protesters tells Fox News this isn't about politics, but rather the desire for their kids to have a quality education and the freedom of religion. But former White House press secretary Jen Psaki, apparently she has a different take. She claims Republicans are recruiting Muslim Americans against transgender people.
By pitting one group of Americans against another, the GOP successfully managed to split off Southern whites from the Democratic Party. Now, decades later, the right wing is reviving that same playbook, this time with Muslim Americans and trans people. Hear me out here. The GOP is trying to recruit Muslim Americans, a community that makes up less than 2% of the U.S. population, against another tiny marginalized group of Americans, transgender people.
So it's all a Republican ploy, Kara, if I've got that right. So I thought we should hear directly from some Muslim leaders. Ismail Royer, she's the director of the Islam and Religious Freedom Action Team, says the left wants to scare Muslims into accepting its indoctrination of our children in exchange for a smile and pat on the head. They insult Muslims by portraying us as having no agency or intelligence, but can't imagine that we've weighed the bargain they offer us and rejected it. Then the head of CARE, Edward Ahmed Mitchell, instead of addressing the substance of the concerns these families have raised about what's happening in public schools, the likes of MSNBC paint these parents as dupes being used by the political right, directly from Muslim faith leaders.
Exactly. And the left is all about projection. So it's whatever they think that the other side is doing, they're probably doing themselves. This coming from the former press secretary from one of the most divisive administrations, at least in my lifetime. I think that's pretty rich. But I also ask Jen Psaki to look at the Armenians clashing with Antifa in California. They're not Muslim. They are simply traditional parents who want to bring their children up in more traditional homes. They object to them being sexualized in the curriculum. They object to the predations of some of these teachers that, frankly, Libs of TikTok has exposed on her account on Twitter and on TikTok as well. So I think that this is people really looking at the evidence of their eyes and their ears. They are not pawns in this divisive game that, frankly, the left is very good at playing.
And all they're asking for is to opt out of the curriculum, let their child be insulated from teachings that they don't agree with or don't want them exposed to at an early age. And Kevin, I don't get how this is a made-up movement by Republicans when this has happened in Maryland. It's Canada. So Republicans are going to Canada to get the Muslims on board? I mean...
Yeah, well, and this is right in Kara and I's backyard, living in Washington, D.C., just in Montgomery County. Listen, I think there needs to be a balance with anything with regards to curriculum, right? There's an important role that I think schools play with teaching age-appropriate sexual health, gender identity, sexual orientation, high schools when it's appropriate for children. But I think one of the other things to come uniquely out of the pandemic is the rise of these parents. And they certainly have a voice. And I'm a Democrat on this couch saying parents certainly have a voice. And there should be a process by which people can opt out from curriculum that they find super objectionable to their religious beliefs. And I think we've got to strike a balance without these protests in the street, without anyone getting harmed, because at the end of the day, kids have every right to a first-rate education. It's a great school district in Montgomery County, but again, it needs to be age-appropriate with that curriculum.
It should, and the demonization is going to backfire. Let's listen to a Montgomery County council member. She apologized for these comments, I want to point out, but we should bring them to you nonetheless.
This issue has unfortunately put some, and not all, of course, but some Muslim families on the same side of an issue as white supremacists and outright bigots. And, you know, however, the folks who I've talked to here today, I would not put in the same category as those folks. Although, you know, it's, again, complicated because they're falling on the same side of this particular issue.
So she apologized, but she's putting Muslims on the side of white supremacists. And if you remember, Jamil Hill put the Asian Americans as carrying water for white supremacists.
Well, first, don't forget, Kaylee, it started with women that we vote Republican or conservative because our husbands told us to.
Right.
And then remember, the New York Times talked about the rise of the white nationalist Hispanic. Yesterday, we have Jamil Hill attacking Asian Americans, and now, of course, the Muslims community is being attacked in Maryland. So it doesn't matter what ethnic minority group you are, what gender you are, you're going to get attacked if you align with conservative policy. So, welcome, you should get used to it. And also, Kaylee, if we as a Republican Party were actually that good at master manipulation of everybody, we would be winning more races.
That's a good point.
I mean, they're giving us all a little bit more credit than I think we deserve. The bottom line is that this is a free country and that there's a lot of women who vote conservative, not because their husband tells them to, but because that's how they want their children to believe. And so there's a lot of people who have very conservative religious beliefs in this country, not just Christians. Doesn't mean they're white supremacists. It just means they believe in traditional values. Welcome to the Republican Party.
Well, and Kaylee, I mean, look, we can disagree on politics, and that's fine as adults. We can agree on how to parent children. And one of the things that the pandemic exposed was what was happening in classrooms across this country, what was being taught or not taught. And if you look now at some of the scores, in particular in states like New York, these children are very, very behind because of the lack of teaching. I'm not beating up on teachers, not beating up on parents. I'm just saying that this is a conversation that should not be politicized. Shame on Jen Psaki for politicizing something that is not, at the end of the day, political. It's about these kids.
Absolutely. And it's Hindu, Christian, Jewish, Armenian, Muslim. These aren't single issue voters, but on at least this issue, they're aligning on the side of the Republican Party.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.